they finally did something which was completely unexpected, because the Lancaster had guns in the front and the mid-upper and the tail. But they came up underneath us with what they called an upward firing cannon. And you didn't see them because you were looking up, not down. We had no radar that looked down. And they sneaked up underneath us, and just I was sitting there and everything disappeared in front of me. It didn't get touched. Everything just exploded. I couldn't work out what happened. Then there was flame and the smell of cordite and the pilot yelling out, "Abandon ship, abandon ship." So I grabbed my parachute and went through a pretty narrow hole between the bar of the main spar of the wings that used to be my sort of backrest and the top of the fuselage. In practice, I used to have a bit of trouble getting through the night. It happened I had no, I don't think I touched the sides. And I looked at the mid-upper. He was ready, unbuckling himself. I looked at the rear gunner and I could tell he was dead. By this time, I was smouldering. The flames were there. I opened the door and flames were streaming back in the slipstream. And I looked out, we were at about 21,000 feet. And I looked down and I thought, oh my God, and I started to get ready to go, and then the instruction came to me, never walk out of a lane, dive. And to dive at 21,000 feet in pure darkness was frightening. It really was. I felt it was a mind game, but I felt as though I was on top of a high-rise building with no bottom, and I was just diving off that. Then I was lucky because I dived, and the next thing I knew, I was falling through there. I had my hand in the ripcord. I pulled the ripcord at the exact moment the Harley Street specialist told me, but the parachute opened and flicked me on the ground like that, and I lost 3/4 of an inch when that happened. And then it dumped me on a bush, which ended up as a poisonous boxsaw, and the Frenchman put me on his kitchen table and cut that out. That was the least of my worries.
How long were you in the air coming down?
No idea. The only thing I remember of this terrible feeling of diving, the next thing of pulling my ripcord, the cover of the parachute was all smouldering, my battle dress was all smouldering. But what happened, to this day I don't know. I thought it might have been the plane exploding, but we dropped our bombs, and by the evidence of where I saw it crashed, it doesn't look as it exploded, but how did the rear gunner get out? Because they showed me his body, photo of his body. He had just had bullets in his head. So I don't know. The pilot did something that you wouldn't expect an experienced Lancaster bomber pilot to do, as he jumped out and still had his helmet on, and his intercom, which had one like those plugs, the old switchboard, telephone switchboards, and the weight of that when he was falling around his neck and choked him. The Canadian, who was not normally part of our crew, our mid-upper, was in hospital with appendicitis. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. And so we had a Canadian mid-upper. Now, he didn't dive, he walked out, obviously, and he lost one leg above the knee and the other one was injured. He was subsequently picked up by the French underground as I was the same night, and they decided there was nothing else but to give him to the Germans, and the Germans did, and the Germans looked after him.